first question, tell me one thing you do to create your best year ever.
Number one change for 2023 is being as present as possible in every moment that I've been in. Like most people, I have a lot on my plate, a lot going on. There's changing of directions and shifting what's happening on a regular basis. So recognizing where I am in the moment, who I'm with, and what I'm doing has made a big difference so far this year.
Oh, and I absolutely love it because presence is something that is both so simple, yet oftentimes so challenging in a world that is always vying for our attention, AKA our lack of presence. And you really get to be intentional to try and cultivate it for yourself in the face of the majority of the world not being present.
Oh, 100%. It's made just taking notice of it makes the biggest difference, I think.
And welcome to Best Year Ever, a podcast designed to inspire growth and impact so you can create your best year ever. And I'm your host, Rob Cressy, and I am so excited about today's episode. Joining me is Emily Moore, CEO of the Bean Countery. Emily, great to have you on the show.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here finally.
And you and I have been working together on a coaching and creating relationship for about the last year. And the reason I wanted to have you on the show is because the transformation that you have had is 15 out of 10. It is incredible. And it is something that every single week I look forward to our coaching and creating conversations together. And I wanted to unpack some of what you've experienced, the impact it has had on your life, the various shifts, because we as master creators, if we can experience something for ourselves, then it is possible for anybody else. And I want to open up these possibilities to the world because I'm just so proud of the things that you've created for yourself.
Thank you. It's been amazing. Every week I feel like we're just getting a little bit closer, right, to that. Not that you ever arrive where you're really trying to go, but getting the things in place to, just like with a business, building a business, we're building ourselves throughout this life. So it's been fun for me too.
So Emily, let's start at the very beginning. And what's unique about your story or journey to us working together is how it even happened in the first place. And for you, I uniquely can pinpoint one exact post that I created on Facebook that got you to me. And it came from the greatest thing that I learned in 2022 on how to create peace in my life. Something that took me 42 years and 5 minutes to create in myself. And once the light bulb went off and I had that epiphany, I was like, oh my God, can you believe that peace is just a choice? And I shared it in a Facebook post. And you and I are a part of two communities together, the Arte Syndicate and Ryan Stumik's Apex group. And boom, even though we'd run in similar circles, we had not connected, even though we were friends. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious what made you want to reach out after hearing that story about how to create peace in your life?
Honestly, it where I was about a year ago wasn't a place I just had never been mentally. I had just come off of a political campaign that I decided ultimately not to pursue. And I had so much, I won't say remorse, because I do feel like it was the best decision. Even I tell everyone I would have won. I'm 100% confident that I would have won, but it just wasn't the future that I wanted for myself and my family. And so I withdrew from the race and had a lot of guilt really for doing that. And it was affecting me in ways I just did not anticipate. So when I had seen your post and read some more about your content and your kind of attitude towards all this growth that we're experiencing, I thought I need to talk to this guy.
And I'm very glad that you did. And Emily, one of the unique things that I love about you is our conversations are both very formulaic and completely open to going to any places in the world. So every single call starts the exact same way. What would you love to create today? But then at the very end, I ask you, Emily, what did you create today? And you have the greatest things that you've created, and you actually created this podcast. And you know why? Because we are going to talk about the things that you have created. Are you down for that?
I'm ready. Yeah.
And there are so many things that I actually got excited for you because of what you have created in our sessions together, that I was like, I want what Emily's having. Like, this is incredible. And I'm actually working backwards because I started with our most recent ones till now, and we'll bounce around. But in all of this, I encourage anyone watching or listening right now to put this through the lens of what they would love to create in their life, that Emily wanted to create something, and this is what the end results were. And Emily, one of them was, you know what I created, Rob? The bridge to what I want. Can you unpack what that is? Because one of the things that I love about some of your creations is they're very grandiose and actually make me feel really good.
Yeah, well, I mean, because I'm always looking for potential and possibility, and the potential for the things that we create in these hour-long sessions are literally life-changing if applied, and applied to multiple areas especially. And I think most of the things that we do create together can be applied in multiple areas. So yeah, it sounds very grandiose because that's how much possibility exists in each of these things. So I'm always like super excited when we leave a call of, wow, I came into this with low energy around a certain topic, or, you know, there's a struggle, or I'm kind of working through a thing and I just need someone to kind of collaborate with on what it is I'm discovering. And you're always over delivering. So the wrap up is always, this could be it. This could be, just this week could be the thing that absolutely changes my life forever.
I love that. Can you get into sort of your collaborative mindset? Because I think that's a very important thing that a lot of people can learn, because when two creators come together to create unlimited possibilities, it actually starts with the way that we both show up to it in the open-mindedness to what we want to create. But I don't believe it's a perspective that the majority of the people of the world come to the table with. So can you unpack sort of what your collaborative mindset, when you even start with this, what is your mindset coming into one session to collaborate together?
Oh, wow. Well, kind of what I said at the beginning, just about being present, is super important when you're starting any sort of collaborative session or relationship or meeting, whatever that might look like. Putting, kind of compartmentalizing for a while, because you really got to prioritize that time with the person you're collaborating with. And this honestly could be personal relationships or anything else, because I'm just always looking for collaboration with anyone. And to me, that is cooperation with each other and understanding that you're building something, whatever that is. And so being present in that moment is the first priority to it being successful in my experience.
I love that, because you're 100% right, because we're both dialed in. So what I want to talk about now is the holistic nature of this, because one of the beauties of creating your ideal version or your best self is this doesn't mean that we fill up just one bucket of our life. And Emily, you and I live in a world of entrepreneurship and business as the owners of companies where there is a lot on us, and it can be very easy to fall into the trap of the world that our identity and our value is only tied to our business, our success, and our money. And while that is one bucket of life, a lot of the people that I talk to realize at some point I want more out of my life than just this one thing, even if my business is the most important or one of the most important things. But what I love about our conversations is so many of them, almost all of them, are holistic because we're building a tool belt for creation that can apply to all areas of our life. And oftentimes it comes from what's happening in the personal world or with our family and relationships and how that can bleed into the business side of things. So can you talk about the holistic nature of things?
Yeah, well, really, if we're talking about things that we want in life, for me, I when I first went full time in my business, I was a consumer of personal development. I listened to the podcast. I read a ton of books. I consumed, and then had like a 6 month lag on actually taking action on anything. And so as I've matured more as a business owner and operator, one thing that I've really taken notice of is being less of a consumer and just more of a decision maker. Um, that I think is one of the catalysts to making this holistic approach work, because yes, everything bleeds in, and I'm not here to just build a business. My business has a much bigger vision, which is all about communities and really impacting those around us that might not even be involved in our business. So what does that look like? And when you start to look at everything in a bigger picture like that, it makes this holistic approach. Oh, so if I being a systems person like you, if I have my cash flow tweaked and worked in a certain parameters, that's going to allow me to do X, Y, and Z completely outside of my business that has nothing to do with that particular system. Just like in personal development, I'm also, my number one priority is to build up my daughters so that they're amazing contributors to the world as they become adults, and that they're happy and fulfilled doing it. So what does that have to do with being a CFO, right? Everything, because everything touches everything else. I don't understand how you really couldn't be holistic in your approach and have great results. I think they kind of go hand in hand.
Ooh, I absolutely love that. And I would just love to bottle it up and have everybody listen to that again because it is the one of the keys that unlocks your life when you realize all the areas of your life being filled up actually fills up the buckets that
Yeah,
matter most to you.
yeah, 100%. And one thing we'd really talk a lot about with our contractor clients is, we all know contractors can sometimes get a bad rap. So it's really important to me that my clients have their act together for their community, so their community knows this is a leader I can go to when I have X, Y, or Z problem, and I can refer that person to anyone else who has the same problem. So it's we're always looking at the details, at what's going on in operations and all of that, but with our eyes still on the periphery, which is people are watching, and it matters how we behave and the way we handle these things. And so if we always keep that in mind, then we're always serving a greater community that we might not even see in front of us on a daily basis.
So, Emily, you mentioned vision, and I want to talk about creating a bigger picture and creating clarity of vision. And those are two separate things, but both aligned to vision. It is the expansive of unlimited possibilities and the most grandiose things you can create in your life, but also your ability to see them clearly, crystal clear, where you actually make it who you are. Can you talk about sort of how the vision creation and the vision stretching has worked and transformed for you?
Yes. I would not say I ever had the attitude of I'm creating a lifestyle business, just something that's going to support me and my family and pay my bills and make me comfortable. I've never really had that attitude towards business. I always think I'm like a very passionate capitalist. And so I'm always thinking really about the marketplace and economics behind it and all of that stuff, but personalize it for what my skill and value is to that marketplace. So I never actually pigeonholed it into this, oh, this is a lifestyle business. I'm just going to, have my home office and keep myself busy. But in not doing the vision practices of just really plotting out what it is that our impact is going to be, I never not said that it was a lifestyle business, right? So when I sat down to do the some of the envisioning exercises, if you will, that was one of my first key takeaways was, it's not that you ever said it was going to be small, but you never said it wasn't. And so you really have to create what that looks like, grand scale, and remind yourself of that, not just, at the beginning of a year or when you're planning a new year. That's really something that is on my mind on a daily basis. And anytime that I'm feeling less motivated than I would like to be, it's the vision that revamps all of that and gets me moving in the right direction.
All right, you just touched on the next amazing thing, and that is process for consistency. And this is the mastery level of all mastery, because as you said, people create goals on January 1st, and by February 1st, they haven't even looked at them again. So it's a zero there. But being a master creator and creating the ideal version of yourself is about the power of consistency and stacking things in your life that you love, that add growth and add to where you want to go. And can you talk about that side of things? Because you and I are both very process oriented, but I don't believe the majority of the world has a process for designing their self-talk, a process for virtually every single thing in your mindset, your heart set, the story that you tell yourself.
Yeah, well, one concept that you've done a great job of introducing to me is the menu, right? So as part of just, the toolbox that we build over time of things that work when we're in specific situations, when I am feeling less powerful in consistency or really any of these areas, having a menu of things that I know will work to change that up really makes a big difference, especially when you're running a small business and a lot of tasks are very easy to just adopt as our own, when maybe that shouldn't be the case. But that being said, we can get bogged down with stuff, and it's normal and natural. So there's really no reason to have judgment over it. But what do we do? What's the actual thing? And having various menus of, okay, when this happens, I have these options. And they're options that I created, so I don't feel like I'm backed in a corner and I'm being forced to do anything. As entrepreneurs, I feel like we like to have the option of spontaneity a lot of times, which makes some resistance for people who also can appreciate that they should have systems and processes. But there's like this dance going on between, I know it would be helpful to have them, but I don't want to be married or forced into a lot of these things that if I'm just not in the mood, I don't want to do. So the menu is really helpful for my personality anyway.
I love to hear that. And you're just creating this entire podcast because the next thing we're going to talk about is judgment and the removal of. And this is an area where we do the deepest work together. We do the most uncomfortable work together. 99.9% of the time, it comes from the language that you speak to me around a situation where the context is almost irrelevant to what you're saying because of just the words that you're saying that is telling the entire story of things. And one of the things that you created, you said, Rob, what I created today is throwing in the trash of a thought that no one wants to hear about accounting. And what I love is when I see the light bulb go off in you, that you see your self-limiting beliefs and judgments. So now you've got the awareness of it. You understand the process of forgiveness, And now you create the powerful version of yourself that is the truth of who you are, that allows you to flourish and create these unlimited possibilities. So can you share a little bit about how the judgment side of things operates for you?
Yeah. So especially as a woman, I feel like there's a lot of opportunity for us to have self-judgment on top of our perception of what others might be judging us for as well. Um, when it's really just being clear about what it is that you're doing. If I am not if there's a goal I have or something I would like to incorporate into my day that new habits are oftentimes hard to form or can be. And so coming into, okay, I'm trying to work on, I don't know, what's getting 2 to 3 miles in every day, which is something that I have made an important thing in my life since spring of last year. But there's a period of time where I was not doing it. And instead of accessing, creating a challenge, creating a menu of things I can do when I'm feeling not motivated or that there just isn't enough time or whatever it is, the easiest thing for a lot of us to do is just to judge ourselves, which isn't helpful because it's not pushing you in the direction of actually doing the thing that it is that you want to do. It is it's what leads to depression and staying home and staying on the couch and eventually not wanting to get up out of bed in the morning. So understanding what the power of the judgment and what it's going to do long term really helps light the fire to shrink the dispersion, as you say, and Ed Milet says, and making that a quicker turnaround and a more positive bounce back to what it is we're trying to accomplish.
And that's one of the keys to all of this. It doesn't mean we don't judge ourselves, that we don't have fear, self-limiting beliefs, bad days, challenges, obstacles. The levels of mastery mean we get to shrink how long that stays with us so that we can get back to the truth of who we are, the most powerful version, and start doing more of the things that we love. So taking what would limit some people for 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, their entire life, and we've struggled to a few hours or a few minutes.
Yeah, and it's really that easy too. I mean, you said earlier that peace is a choice. All of it is. And really that is how much more peace can you have in your life when you're not judging yourself or really anyone else for what it is that they're doing or not doing. That's almost the definition of peace.
Very much so. So what I want to talk about next with you is another thing that you created. And it's actually all around the next version of you. And you'd said, Rob, today I created the stepping stones to all the interpersonal stuff that will create the next version of who I am. And what I love about this is I don't think many people think about their self-mastery and their personal growth journey as the next version of me. And I love the perspective because literally every moment is the next version of me, and certainly every day. So I'm always shedding my cloak to create something new, because one of my declarations is I am constant creation of who I am. And I think to myself, I am God, and I create my lens for the world, and I create everything that's inside of my world. So literally, I am constantly evolving as the next version of myself. But you really took this to the next level on the interpersonal side, because so often we think, once again, money, business, success, that's the only levels that I operate, without understanding there is actual levels to peace and joy and harmony and happiness and relationships and flow and doing more of what I love. So can you talk about the interpersonal side of this and what these next levels have looked like for you?
Oh, yeah. So I told you even earlier this week, and this was on my podcast too, my most recent one, was just how fast we can become a different person. I literally, Sunday morning at 10 a.m. was completely different than I was Sunday afternoon at 2:30. just because I am allowing change in my life and I'm looking for it, and just being on the pursuit of that person makes you more open to becoming that next version of who you are and what you're building. So it's not a formula. It's more understanding and knowing, not just thinking it's possible, but like knowing that the the next level of you exists and it's there, and all you got to do is be open to finding it. And um, the smallest, most frustrating, like all the different types of circumstances we can find ourselves in any moment, could be the thing that you let bring you to that next level. It's really just being on the lookout for it.
I love that. And you're just feeding right into the next level because some of the times you say something that you created that makes me thankful for just doing what I do and get the opportunity to even be with you to create the blessing that a conversation between us is. Because you have said, Rob, this has been a super life changing hour. And I take that in and I take everything you say extremely seriously because that's one of the things that's part of creation that I'm a champion for you in all areas of your life at all times. And the ability and the perspective to say that you can super change your life in 1 hour. That's just, it's mind blowing. Can you unpack that for us?
I don't know. I don't know if I can unpack that other than, I mean, I really felt like it was like an answer to a prayer. It was kind of a miracle. And, there had been just an interpersonal issue in my household for 2 years. My husband and I just were going round and round about this thing. And, with each round, a little bit more resentment builds up, right? A little bit more irritation and frustration with the other person. And we both had that towards each other about this issue. And of course, I'm saying my prayers like, oh, God, change him, fix him. And I'm sure he was doing the exact same thing. And, it broke. And really, it was me. What's crazy about it is, had you asked me an hour before, or even during this argument that we were having, I would have been able to legalistically and judgmentally list all the logical reasons that I'm correct. And so I am not the one who needs to bend in this situation. And a couple hours passes and I have this like crazy shift in my brain, and now I can't see it any other way than no, Emily, you are being self-righteous and you are being this and that, and I can't even make myself think about this thing the way I did for like close to 2 years of this ridiculous argument. So it's hard to really put into words this specific instance, but we are hearing the loop inside our own heads about how right we are about every single thing we see, whether it's like a conflict or not, even things that are just rosy and there's no issues with. We are the ones narrating that story. And so it's really, really difficult for us to understand and comprehend when we actually aren't correct, So my biggest thing about this would just be a caution, like we're not right all the time. And especially when we're owners of our business or leading teams and all of that, we tend to put more faith in our interpersonal stuff than maybe we should. So I would say open-mindedness is the key to really every bit of growth you'll ever do, whether that's learning that you've been wrong or chasing what you know is right.
Love that. And I want to talk about being open to growth because it seems so obvious. Why would you not want to grow? Why would you not want to get better? Why would you not want to be the ideal version of yourself every single day? And one of the unique experiences that many people feel, yourself included, Emily, and this comes straight from you, I was dreading our call, feeling so negative. And then what did you create at the end? You said, it was so helpful. And I want to bring this up because it's such a natural feeling. And it's not just about working and creating with someone where you're like, I don't know what we're going to create today, or I don't know what I'm going to do. But this can even be before you get to that point where you're just down and you're negative and that loop's coming in your head, and maybe it's just for this moment or this hour, but maybe it's a day or a week or a month or a little bit longer there. And being open to not having to have the answers, and literally you opening up and saying that at the very beginning of the call, you're like, I was dreading this call. And it's something that we as coaches have a few different ways that we create. What would you love to create today? And you roll in and you're like, I actually wasn't even wanting to come to this call. So the original intention of the creation gets thrown out the window. So the next possibility becomes, all right, cool. What's present for you right now? Because usually within 2 minutes of talking about what's present, the creation of what you would love to create happens. And it actually ends with, that was so helpful. So can you shed some light into this perspective? Because I think it's going to help a lot of people, because a lot of people have been in that experience, and you went from that in the course of 1 hour of, I didn't even want to be here, which is a very unique thing for someone who's a champion who wants to support you, that you look forward to every single week.
Right.
And that's how you started something.
Well, I think that's the power of realizing when you need to let go of how it is you're feeling, because, and this is true not just before a coaching call. There are some meetings, right? Like you were real excited to plan 9 days ago, but now here it is, and I'm feeling pressure. I'm up against a deadline. I want to get this task completed or this project wrapped up before I have any other distractions to it, which is usually where, for me, that's where that energy comes from. It's just like, oh, but I'm on a roll, and I hate being pulled off of work once I'm moving with it and I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And so then it's and now I've been doing this process of whatever it is I'm working on. And now I'm going to have to shift my brain waves, right, into like a more creative space, a more open space. I'm going to have to share. I'm going to have to be able to listen and all that stuff. And I just really comfortable in this frequency that I'm on right now. I don't want to shift it, because not only that, but I subconsciously know like something great's going to come out of it, and it's going to put me on something different, which is going to take me even further away from this menial task or whatever it is that I'm working on. So that's often where it's coming from. And the best way to overcome is just get present and drop that, because the value of what you're going to get when you're in a collaborative meeting or relationship with somebody is so much higher than whatever it is you don't want to let go of. That's what I've learned through this past year of just like, it's almost like when you don't want to get out of bed on time or early, and then you especially don't want to get up early and go run or whatever it is, because you're really comfortable in the moment of where you are before that. And I don't know that I've ever heard anyone say, I wish I would have just stayed in bed and not done this after they've gotten out of bed and done that. It's the same thing, just on a different event we're talking about, but I feel like it's the same feeling. At least it is for me.
I love it. That's an absolutely great analogy. One that I relate to every single day when my alarm goes off and I'm like, oh my God, it's 4:58 in the morning. You're just like, this is, people think that people who get up early, like just start doing round off back handsprings. 0%. Yeah. I've been doing this for a decade, and every single morning is a challenge. It doesn't mean I don't love my life. I do, but yeah. I schedule sleep like it's a meeting. So like I'm getting my 8 would be great, somewhere between 7 and 8 hours every single day. And it is what it is. So Emily, in preparation for this, I wrote down a list of every single thing that you created. Then I went in, and I'll send that to you. You're going to love this.
Yeah.
I then went into Chat GPT and had it summarize by high level category the top 10 high level things that you have created in our 1 year of working together.
Yeah.
Are you interested in hearing what that is?
I'm dying to hear it.
And this made me feel so good because describing and sharing the impact of the world that we create and what we create together is a very unique experience to get to the person to this point, because that's the challenge. Once you're in this world, it's like, boom, unlimited possibilities. But getting the person to be open to the world of unlimited possibilities and wanting it, that's a different story, as we both know, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So here are the 10 high level categories of what Emily Moe has created in the last year of us creating together. Number 1, clarity and vision. Number 2, overcoming negative thoughts and feelings. Number 3, planning and organization. Number 4, improved communication. Number 5, business growth. Number 6, personal growth and well-being. Number 7, time management. Number 8, stress and anxiety management. Number 9, mindset shift. And number 10, skill development. How does that sound?
That sounds exactly right. And it's also, I mean, you talk about holistic, that is all encompassing.
And how does it feel?
You can't have those pieces of growth created and not have that impact your entire life. And it has.
So can you share the impact that this has had on your life, your family, everything, for someone who's listening right now and maybe they're considering hiring a coach or a collaborator for the first time and they're hearing the ways that this is impacting you? Can you share about that?
Yeah, I mean, and what I do is there's coaching involved, but it's just a lot of relationship building, which is really what you're doing with the coach or any of our clients that we have. And part of that is you want to make sure that you're working with somebody who will be a cheerleader. Yes, it's gonna, kind of turn you around, get you in better shape and shipped out, right, to go conquer the next thing. You want somebody in your corner, but you also want somebody who's going to call you on the bluffs that you're holding. So one way that Rob, I love when you do this. Anytime there's a challenge or a problem, you catch and stop me almost 3 sentences in every time and say, all right, I'm gonna tell you about your language right now, and you're gonna point out all the ways that I'm kind of sabotaging my own problem and describing my problem. So I mean, you want someone who's got the tools, that has your back, that's going to challenge you, because we human beings just need challenging, really, no matter who you are. I can't really quantify like all the ways that the tools we've been working on, and sometimes we got to talk about them multiple times because what sounded great and I thought I had it under control 6 weeks ago, and now it pops up again. And sometimes I'll even say, like, all right, I know we've talked about this, but let's do that again. Let's rehash this. It's a huge piece of what has allowed me to have the growth in the business and just in my personal world in the last year. It's been huge. And not only that, but entrepreneurship is one of the most lonely things you could ever set out to do. Can be a very lonely experience to see the possibilities, right, of not only who you can serve and what you can do in the world, but also what that can do for you in return, and go through the uncomfortable spaces that you just have to go through to learn new skills and acquire relationships and ideas and all of this. You've got to put yourself in situations that a lot of people aren't willing to do, and that's fine, but it's lonely because a lot of other people aren't willing to do that. So you oftentimes are finding yourself doing it alone. So I think to me also, and just that collaborative relationship that I've found in with you has been so helpful, just to like make sure that I feel supported in the things that I'm reaching to do.
Well, thank you for that. And I echo that sentiment. Who would I be to be a coach who doesn't work with the best coaches in the world for those same
Yeah.
reasons that we are all in on our business, our best lives, our dreams. And we wear our heart on the sleeves. We literally give everything to everybody. One of my declarations is I am that I care the most, because I truly show up every single day in all ways, wearing my heart on my sleeve, caring about everyone, people I know and people that I don't know at the same time. And then you look around and you're like, where's all the support for me, the person who's caring about everybody else? And sometimes you just want to be heard and felt. And I remember probably the most emotional I've ever gotten in a single conversation was my first conversation with my first coach ever. And it was, and this is, I don't know, 8 years ago, it was my Brandon coach, Gil. And for the first time in my life, I felt that somebody gave me permission to live my dreams, because I told him my dreams and they didn't think I was crazy or say I didn't understand what you're doing, or they heard me and they felt me and they're like, I got it, let's go. And it's something that it is so deep in your soul, like this longing we have for acceptance as people who are on a one person journey with an army behind us, or that we're supporting, or families, and all of this stuff. And how it felt in that moment where like I almost started crying, because it was the first time that and I'm even getting emotional now, that I felt heard by somebody as it related to my dreams. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so much power in that, right? Like people, because it's lonely and a lot of people aren't doing it, the people who aren't doing it really have no concept of the power in just being present and encouraging and all the things that all humans need, not just our clients.
Very much so. So, Emily, as we wrap a bow on this, I would like for you to speak to someone right now who is on this growth path and wants to become the ideal version of themselves. And based on our experience working together, would you encourage them to have a conversation with me? And if so, what would you say to them?
Yeah, my best advice to someone who's thinking about it, can see a need but has questions, maybe isn't sure if they can stick with it, whatever those doubts might be. I definitely encourage you, send a message, talk to Rob. I think what you'll find is someone who's very present, very caring, very positive, and not only that, but like has done the work, has done the research, has produced a really amazing service and product with the community that does serve. It's not the coaching industry is kind of exploded in the last 5 to 10 years, and that's all well and good, but you've got to kind of use your discernment a little bit on who knows what they're doing and who doesn't. I can tell you, actually, I did say this to Rob, even I think on our first or second call, after kind of diving into some of the platform content that you had put together. I was really impressed with just how well produced it was, and could see the value in it immediately before even really getting to some of that content. So I don't think you'll find a person who's done their homework quite like Rob has. And his delivery is very unique and powerful. And I would and I do recommend Rob Cressy's coaching for sure.
Well, thank you very much, Emily. I appreciate that. And you're a rock star, and it's one of the things that we created, that you're building a team of rock stars and you hire rock stars, and getting to go through all that you have created in the last year truly warmed my heart because of the transformation that I know it had on you and your family, and the impact you have on me by us being in conversation, because I'm learning things about myself, and in being through you. And you're amazing, and you're everything that is great about entrepreneurship, because you're willing to put yourself out there, you're willing to grow, you care about others, you're a leader of your family, you're a leader of yourself, you're a leader of women, you're a leader of entrepreneurs. And I just wanted to make sure that you know that I recognize that in you, and I care about you, and everything that you create is amazing.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
So, for anybody who would love to connect with you, where can they connect?
The best place is actually Facebook. I'm Emily Moe on Facebook, and that's emily.moe1981 if you're going to do a search on there to find me. Or Instagram. It's Emily Moe _CFO. And that's the best place to find me.
And do you have a website?
I do. Sorry, beancountery.com. And a podcast. So we launched a podcast in October. It's called the Ladder Roofing Mastermind podcast. It's designed for the roofing trades business owners. However, there's stuff in there every week that is helpful to really anybody who's building a business and on a journey to make the world a better place.
Absolutely love it. And I want to hear from you. Is there anything that we said in this conversation that made you think or take action or inspired you? You can hit me up on all social media platforms at Rob Cressy, sending tons of good vibes your way.